When we're young, it just seems like we have all the time in the world. You don't have many responsibilities, if any. Nothing is required of you except growing and learning. And suddenly you wake up one day and you've got bills, you've got goals, you've got aspirations. And what you also have is society's rules to dictate how you move on your way to those goals. Now, as you learn to navigate those rules and the terrain that you're required to navigate to get to your goals, you come to one realization. There isn't enough time in every day to do all of the things that you want to do. So, with that being the case, I then ask you, what time do you have to waste? If you don't have enough time, why are you wasting time? You have to think about it. When you waste time, you just lost out on something that you could have been doing. And yes, you may eventually get there, but if there is a 10-step method to get to a goal, and it should take 10 months, but you waste a month on vacation, now it's going to take you 11 months, maybe 12 months, because you got to get back into the type of focus and determination and drive that you were in after 9 months of going hard toward a goal. So when you think about it, you can't get back your wasted time. You just wasted it. You didn't use it for anything. We say we go on vacation. Well, isn't the goal to do something in your life that you love so much that it's not even work? That's the goal. You ask a Bass Pro fisherman how many days he works. He'll tell you none. Now, you add on the stress of relying on that as your sole source of income, especially if you don't have sponsors in the beginning. Yeah, the financial burden is something else. But I mean, when he's on that lake, casting, searching, developing a pattern that he hopes is going to help him win the next tournament, he's not at work. You ask professional basketball players when they ever work. Practice is work? No. Practice is being able to play the game without wins and losses being on the line. Practice is the fun time. The game is the glorification of the skills. So there is no work. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about being on a mission in life to get to the thing that you love so much. So you're not working. So you don't need a vacation away from work. So when you think about time, one of the greatest regrets you'll ever have in life is wasting time. Now, the problem with that regret is focusing in on that regret of all the time you already wasted will make you waste more time pouting and being spiteful towards yourself. When what you need to do is remember what it feels like to lose that time and not be able to get it back and think about the things you could have been doing and the things you could have accomplished during that time and set your mind to the task of not wasting time anymore. There is no need to waste time. You don't even have time to waste. You don't know how many days you have. You don't know what day is going to be your last. So any time you waste, you could have just wasted your last moments. There's a lot of things you could be doing. Shoring up the relationships you have that are positive. Making sure you're detaching yourself from the relationships you had that were negative. Focusing on health as wealth. Focusing on finances as freedom. There's a bunch of things you could be doing, and they all require you to focus and execute a plan. So the goal is to figure out how not to waste time anymore. I say waste valuable time. Why? Because all time is valuable. That's why you shouldn't be out committing crimes. Do you understand that doing time simply means that you have been assigned a set period of your life to waste time? You get 10 years in prison, that's 10 years of your life you're just wasting away. Yes, you could read and you could learn, you could do all that. But when we're talking about having access to your goals, having access to your goal accomplishment process, you lose that when you lose that time. If you ever known anyone who's gone away for a while, they come home and they have no idea what's going on. No matter how much they thought they were in the loop, the world outside moves 10 times faster than the world in prison. And so those guys get out, man, they have to really get acclimated. And that takes what? more time. So if you do 10 years and it takes you 2 years to get acclimated, then that's 12 years. You just lost an extra two because of the 10 you already lost. That's why you have to remember that you're not just protecting the time you have now, but you're trying to protect the time that you may have in the future. None of us knows how much time that is, but however much time that is, you want to make sure you're doing things now to protect your time in the future as well. You don't want to keep building and building and building, and then something you do right now has already set you up to lose time in the future. That's why we live a life that's pleasing to God, because we don't want our time to be short. That's why we honor our father and mother so that our days on the earth shall be prolonged. That's why we don't overindulge or even indulge in some of these substances that people abuse. Why? Because we want our days to be prolonged. That's why we honor the Most High's dietary laws. We don't eat pork, and we don't eat anything that chews grass but doesn't have a split hoof, and we don't eat anything out of the sea that doesn't have fins and scales. We don't eat any creepy crawly thing because we don't want to defile our bodies, because we don't want to waste time in the future. The things you do now have consequences in the future. So if you don't eat right, you don't take care of yourself, you don't take care of your mental health, there's a time in the future where you're going to waste time in a facility somewhere, a mental facility, a medical facility, a prison institution. And these are things that we don't need in our lives. So we're preparing ourselves now to not waste time ever again. Ever again. So what you must do is you must change whatever you need to change. It doesn't matter what you need to change it. Whatever you need to change, you change and rearrange it right now, whether that's relationships, whether that's your environment, whether that's your job, whether that's your profession, whether that's your education process. It don't matter what it is. Whatever you need to change, you change it right now. Stop wasting time. Many people are in school for degrees in fields that they know they don't want to work in. That's 4 years of your time wasted for a bachelor's degree, 6 for a master's, and maybe 7 or 8 for a PhD. You're wasting time in a field that you know eventually you don't even want to be in. You don't have a plan for whatever degree you're going to have. And so now you're wasting 4 years, and then you're going to waste 4 more years trying to figure out what you want to do since you don't want to do that. That's why you can't allow your parents to dictate to you what you're going to do as an adult. Their time for dictating to you is over after high school. They're done. You get to decide whatever it is you want to do. Some of y'all joining fraternities and sororities and going to certain universities that you don't even want to go to. You don't even want to be a part of because of your parents. You're wasting your life away because your parents want to live vicariously through you. Never let anyone live vicariously through you. You have your own life to live. It's a waste of time to let someone live vicariously through you. And I want you to think back. Anything you've ever done because someone else wanted you to do it, career-wise or any other aspect of life, I want you to ask yourself, did you waste that time? Or was it time well spent? Do you regret wasting that time? Or do you embrace the fact that it was one of the best experiences in your life? Your answer will tell you why it's so important that you don't waste time. So there are just some things that we need to understand about time. When you think about we only have 24 hours in every day, if you sleep 8 hours, which all of you should be doing, at least 6, let's say the average sleep period is 8 hours, you only got 16 hours left. You go to a job for 8 hours, you only got 8 hours left. You eat for an hour, maybe, let's say you eat for 3 hours a day. Let's say you just eat 3 meals a day, you eat 3 hours a day. That leaves you 5 hours. You commute back and forth to your job 30 minutes each way. That's another hour. You're down to 4 hours. You see what I mean? You don't have any time to waste. So that leaves you 4 hours to focus on everything. Now, you got to incorporate your hygiene process. If you have kids, you got to incorporate that. You got to feed them. You got to do homework. Man, you are out of time. That's why you must figure out how to do what you love to do for your job. You must figure that out. The only people who have freedom in this world are people who do what they love. If you don't do what you love, it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you don't love what you do, then you don't have true freedom. And if you don't have true freedom, you always have to waste time feeling free. You go on vacation so you can feel free from work, but you're really not free from work because your mind is on work. If you take a 7-day vacation, the last 2 days, all you're doing is thinking about work. You're dreading going back to work. Because it's work. It's not fun. It's not joy. It's not fulfillment. You're working hard to get a check while somebody else is getting the fulfillment of the bottom line of what the business is accomplishing. So I want you to understand something. You must put God first in all you do. Otherwise, you have no sense of direction. And when you have no sense of direction, you have no idea what time needs to be spent on what. So you're constantly wasting time. Only following God's plan for your life will make sure that every step you take is the step you need to be taking. And many times, there are many of us who spend half of our lives chasing the wrong thing, only to wake up and realize that we should have been doing something else the entire time. Now, you don't have time to waste regretting that. You got to go ahead and get to where you need to be so you can start reaping the rewards of that. And those rewards make you forget about all the time you wasted. But you got to stop wasting time first. You got to be honest with yourself. If you're not happy in life, if you don't have joy, if you don't have peace, then you're probably wasting time doing something you shouldn't be doing. Wasting time being in a relationship you shouldn't be in. Wasting time being in an environment that you should have left long ago. Wasting time ignoring yourself, neglecting yourself, instead of putting yourself in the best mental, physical, spiritual headspace so you could then put yourself in the best financial space. I want y'all to understand, you have to remove your evil inclinations, expectations, and intentions, or else God will not bless you with his presence. Anything evil that you're thinking of, anything wicked that you're thinking of, anything that you intend to do that you know is not the right thing to do, that's not the path you should be taking. Yes, can you get some financial reward from that? Yes, you can get financial reward from that. But you're not going to get that fulfillment. You're not going to get that peace of mind. You're not going to get that sanctity. You're not going to get that fulfillment that only comes from being exactly who and where you're supposed to be. And it's a tough road until you clear your mind of all these expectations. So, in order to rid yourself of those expectations, you must first resist those temptations. And you got to think about those temptations. They only show up when you're on your purpose, you're progressing, and there's something bigger coming your way. That's the only time those temptations show up. They show up to take your focus away from what you need to be doing. So, in order to not have to be pulled into those evil expectations, you have to resist those evil temptations, because those two, they're a package deal. And that will have you losing so much time. And I'm going to be honest with you, the only thing worse than wasting time is losing time. Wasting time, you can recall what you were doing when you were wasting time. Losing time, you don't even know how the time got away from you. You were so aloof and so focused on the opposite of what you should have been focused on, you can't even remember where the time went. Now that is a burden that many can overcome. Sometimes you see homeless people, or you see people that have substance abuse problems, and you look at them and you wonder what happened in their lives, and they just lost time. They have no idea what happened to their time. Like, they just lost it. They don't even recall what they were doing. They have lapses in their memory and gaps in their recollections about their own life. And that's a heavy burden to carry. It leaves you with holes in your mindset that you can't fill. And it's tough, man. It's like driving a road and you're waiting to get to the fork in the road, and then where the fork is supposed to be, the road just ends. You can't even go further. Your entire life has been trying to get to that fork so you could go right like you're supposed to, and then when you get to the fork, you don't even have the option. You don't know where you took the wrong turn at. You don't know if you took a wrong turn. You don't know where the road is. You don't know if your map is wrong. You don't know what it is. And that's the equivalent of losing time in your life. You almost can't overcome that because you're lost. That's a point where you're lost. There's a gap in your journey and you're lost. That's a tough pill to swallow. And you got to remember, you have to eliminate the people in your life who house negative energy. See, there's people in your life who aren't bad people, but they house negative energy. It's not intentional. They're not even haters. They just house negative energy. That's just who they are. They don't even understand it. If you tell them about it, they'll deny it. They don't even believe that they house negative energy because it's not intentional. They're really good people. but they have allowed negative energy to fester in them from whatever happened to them in the past, whatever they went through. And that negative energy is going to come into your life as well. And so you waste time with people like that in your life because you're constantly going back and forth with them, trying to figure out why they are the way they are with you. Just eliminate them from your life. You don't have time to convince people to be a certain way with you. You don't have time to convince people that they are a certain way with you. You don't have time to convince yourself that whatever they're doing isn't that big a deal. It's a huge deal. It's bigger than you think it is. Because those are the kind of people that make you lose time. You're focusing on them instead of focusing on what you need to be doing, you're losing time. You don't want to lose time. So, your goal is to live the life of your dreams, not their dreams, not their dreams, not your mama dream, not your daddy dreams, not your wife dreams. Your goal is to live the life of your dreams because we all have different dreams. We all want different things. We all see ourselves from a different lens. And so you have to wrap your mind around the concept that you're going to live the life of your dreams no matter who doesn't like it. Because I promise you, I could tell you this from an OG, I can promise you that every moment you waste living your life the way somebody else wants you to, you will regret it forever. Because eventually you're not going to be 25 anymore. You're going to be 35. And then you're going to be 45. And then you're going to be 55. And then you're going to be retirement age. And then it's going to be too late. Get your life in order and fix it right now while you still have time. It's not about living the highest quality life when you're young. It's about working to build that life while you're young. So when you do retire, you can retire. You're good. You can do whatever you want to do. You want to travel? Go travel. You want to get an RV and just drive around to all the campsites in the US? Fine, do that. But you only get to do that when you take your time right now. Understand your purpose, understand what it is, and you go focus on it and build as much as you can build so you can get that yield at the end. Know your purpose. Pursue your purpose with fervor. Don't give up. Don't quit. Keep pushing as hard as you can, as long as you can, because you've already wasted enough time. Peace.